Hi, it's Blake Cahoon of the Angelic Path. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was talking about the voices in my head. And he said, well, I have had voices in my head. I constantly talk to myself. I said, is it really yourself? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, when I was growing up, I recognized the fact that I seemed to be talking to myself a lot in my head. And then later on, I discovered some of that dialogue was not me, but the angels and the ascended masters. And and he said, oh, so you mean that I might be talking to the divine and I think it's me? And I'm like, yeah, that's how it shows up for us, people who say we can do this all the time. And I didn't really recognize the fact that people don't realize that until he started bringing it up. And I'm like, oh, so when you find you're constantly having inner chatter, that may be the angels trying to talk to you. It's going to sound like your own voice. It always sounds like your own voice. What the difference is when I ask a question and suddenly the answer is something that I had no clue about. And this has finally clued me into, oh, wait a second, this isn't me. I don't know that. And then when I'm having a dialogue and then they overtalk me, what's me overtalking me? Huh? And that kind of started cluing me in and went, maybe there's something else going on here. And I had a spiritual teacher at one point, and they said, yeah, that's you talking to the angels. And I'm like, oh, so it isn't me just talking to me. No, it isn't. So if you find yourself, because I think if you find yourself in this position, I think there's a lot of people out there who think, oh, I'm going to hear a different voice if it's an angelic one. And I do recognize that a few of you do have that different voice. But most of us, it sounds a lot like us speaking to us. And how do you know it's them versus something else versus you? Well, like I said, it's usually because they're saying things to you that lead you down either a good path or a bad path. If it's a bad path, it ain't angels and ascended masters. It may be faulty spirit guides. It might be your past relatives. It might be something else, which we don't really touch upon. But it might just be the negative voices in your head. But again, if you're leading down and they're saying something to you and giving you a piece of advice, and it sounds like you, again, it sounds like you talking to you, and then you go and do what they suggested doing, and it turns out really good over and over and over again upon taking their advice, that's the angels, that's the ascended masters. But they're not going to sound different than the voice in your head, the voice that's coming from here and sounding in your head. And he didn't know that. And he went, oh, you mean I've been getting guidance all this time and didn't know it? I said, probably. Yeah. And again, it's if voices overtalk yours, if you're giving you answers and you knew that you didn't know that, and then if it's a gut feeling that says, hey, this sounds different, this feels different to me. This isn't me talking to me. Who is here? And you can always ask. And that's what I did when I first encountered angels, is that I said, who are you? Because I had a lot of ghosts and spirit guides up that point. But the angels felt different to me. And I finally said, okay, who is this? And they said, we're your angels, your guardian angels. And I went, oh, okay. But it's you, talking to you, except it's probably your angels, if you're into that sort of thing. I mean, there's nothing, you probably talk to yourself all the time. But if it feels a little different, if you feel a little different in a good way, check it out. Maybe your angel's talking to you. Until next time, many blessings.